Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. Here is my take for today, entitled "The JAMB Exam Infractions and the Moral Decline in Our Country." Last week, the nation learned the outcome of a special JAMB committee on exam infractions. It was sobering and indicative of an ongoing social wrath. Let us review the summary of the findings, which the committee chairman, Mr. Jake Epele, said shook us deeply. These were the major findings. Examination malpractice has evolved into a highly organized, technology-driven, and culturally normalized enterprise. 4,251 documented cases of finger blending, 190 cases of AI-assisted image morphing, 1,878 false declarations of albinism, and numerous cases of credential forgery, multiple NIN registrations, and solicitation schemes. The committee also found that these fraud cases are not the work of candidates alone. It is sustained by a syndicate involving some of the CBT centers, schools, parents, tutorial operators, and even technical accomplices. Worst of all, the malpractice has become culturally normalized, seen by many as an acceptable shortcut to success. The committee also found that legal frameworks remain inadequate to tackle biometric and digital fraud, and public confidence in the examination process is dangerously eroding. Now, there are those who are arguing that the number of infractions between 4,000 to 6,000 isn't alarming when you consider that about 2 million people sit for these JAMB exams annually. But such an attitude is missing the point and can encourage us to be complacent about this problem. There were 6,458 suspected cases of malpractices, and then 4,251 cases of finger blending alone have been established. In absolute terms, over 4,000 cases of fraud is bad enough, as it presents an indication of a systemic rot in active progress in the examination sector of our country. And that is also a certain erosion of merit and a certain loss of confidence in our secondary and tertiary education processes. We should certainly be very worried about this. What we have seen in JAMB exam is certainly going on even in primary, secondary, and tertiary schools. The difference is that we have a JAMB that is led by a courageous person who has the boldness to investigate and interrogate the situation. Haven't we heard in this country of sex for grades in our universities, or sex for roles in Nollywood, and so on and so forth? And so what JAMB has done is to help us, to wake us up if we choose to act. This is the right alarm bell. Let us ring it and let it sound very, very loudly, and let us sound this alarm very, very widely. So we are reassured that we have people like Dr. Epele, the chairman of the special committee, people like Professor Ishak Oloyede, the registrar of JAMB, and people like Dr. Tuji Alausa, the Minister for Education, that these are the people that are in charge of the process. We can pursue with them a process of progressive reform. We certainly can, and we should save the day. We should terminate the rot. We should restore merit and order in our examinations. However, there is a greater concern. Who are the parents who are actively participating in this fraudulent examination scheme? Who are they? Who are these people who facilitate their children and their wards in rigging the system, and who cooperate with their wards to cheat in all manners of examination in this country. Who are these people? Where did they come from? Ladies and gentlemen, they come from among us. The parents are our people. The owners of the exam centers, they are Nigerians. They come from among us. So we must ask ourselves, what has happened to us as a people? Here on Inside Sources, we regularly call out our political leaders. But those leaders come from among us. They are our people. Is it that those political leaders reflect what has happened to us over the decades as a people? We must reflect on these things and we must engage in serious introspection. There is certainly a moral decline that is going on in our society today, a rather dramatic shift in our values, a worrying embrace of ostentation and unquestioned acquisition and display of wealth, a tendency towards indolence, while people are awaiting miraculous uplifts. All of this when we pride ourselves as religious people who throng the churches and mass around the mosque every week. We need to ask ourselves the question, what has happened to us? And we need to begin to think, how do we come out of this morass that we are becoming as a people? It's an honest question that all of us should think about. These JAMB revelations are trying to raise a right alarm about what has happened to us. Let us heed the call and make the corrections. And there you have it. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I am leading the show with a conversation with a leading Nigerian comrade. He was the Secretary General of the National Conscience Party, the party that was founded by Chief Gani Fawehinmi SAN. And in 2003, he was the gubernatorial candidate of the National Conscience Party in Oyo State. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources, Comrade Femi Aborishade. Mr. Aborishade, you are welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Professor Laulu Akande.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, let's get right to it. If you look at where our country is today, especially what has been happening since 1999 when we started the Fourth Republic, what will you say is the direction that our country is heading for, in your view?
In my humble view, I think the political rulers have failed the nation. They have not met the huge expectations of the masses. We fought against military dictatorship in expectation that we'll have democratic rule. On the contrary, what we have been having is civilian totalitarianism, civilian dictatorship. It will appear that they have failed the nation. They have failed the expectations of the ordinary people of Nigeria. The Constitution provides that the primary essence of governance is the welfare and security of the people. We neither have security nor is the welfare of the people being attended to. Rather, we are confronted with unprecedented poverty, pervasive poverty, agony, pains, and pangs. While the rulers swim in opulence, the masses wallow in abject poverty. Farmers cannot go to the farm. Hospitals are in comatose. The educational institutions have been destroyed. Agreements signed by ASU, for example, since 2009 have not been implemented. Doctors have begun a strike, which they suspended. Medical staff have also, nurses have just, resumed from a strike not long ago. Things are not working. The country is not working in the interest of the masses. The country is working only in the interest of the rulers. They have, for example, withdrawn fuel subsidy only for the governors to be richer. They have taken from the masses and given to the wealthy. It's as if Nigeria is now made not for the masses, but for the rulers. The rulers have no thought at all for ordinary people. They think only about themselves. They do not think about bringing about development for the masses. We have been having economic growth without development. We have been having more resources. The state governors have been having, a lot of money. Salaries of political leaders are about to be reviewed upward. Our legislators are among the top, income earners in the entire world. Yet, they are proud to say they have a law legalizing 70,000 naira per month minimum wage. Not less than 11 states are not paying the minimum wage. The minimum wage, of course, is poverty wage that can hardly sustain a family. And that is why corruption is pervasive. Corruption, particularly among the rulers, not among the people, because the people are just striving to survive.
Okay, well, that's a very powerful introduction, Mr. Burishadi. But I'd like to say that, so the cause of your narration is similar to what the opposition coalition, there was a recently formed opposition coalition. Some of the things you said is also what they've said. In your own view, should we take the opposition, the political opposition, how seriously should we take them?
Well, the opposition exists in varied forms. We have the civil society opposition. We have the labor movement opposition. But if you are talking about the prominent opposition political party, if you are concerned with only that, I will support that. What they are saying, they are merely making statement of facts about the situation in the country. But they should go beyond lamenting the situation, the status of things in the country. They should let Nigerians know what they offer. Because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he was campaigning against President Jonathan, he opposed the removal of fuel subsidy under President Jonathan. He called it the Jonathan tax. And he correctly stated that President Jonathan was using state power to benefit the class of people he chose to benefit, and he was using state power to punish the masses of Nigeria. He then went ahead to call on Nigerians to troop to the streets and protest against the Jonathan tax. But we all know today he has embraced the policy that he condemned as an opposition political figure. Therefore, Nigerians should go further and ask the opposition political figures today, what is it they are offering Nigeria? For example, when we contested in 2003 under the platform of the National Conscience Party, and under the leadership of the late Chief Gani Fawehimi, we were all made to sign undertakings. Chief Gani Fawehimi was a wealthy Nigerian, a wealthy, successful legal practitioner. He was always going abroad for his medical care on his own, at his own expense. However, when he was campaigning to be president of Nigeria in 2003, he signed an undertaking, which we all signed individually, that if elected president of Nigeria, he will ensure that the resources of Nigeria are used to revamp the healthcare system such that he made a vow, a covenant with the people. He will no longer go abroad for his medical care. He will either reform the healthcare system such that he could also have confidence in Nigeria's healthcare system, or he dies in Nigeria. But today, what do we see? We have political leaders. The president, for example, just like the late President Buhari, they have continued to embark on medical tourism. We need the opposition political figures to give Nigerians an undertaking. If elected into power, they will not go abroad for medical care. They will not continue the policy of medical tourism. But not only that, we also signed an undertaking that if elected as president or governor of a state, for example, that we will not send our children abroad for education. Our children will have to receive their education here in Nigerian schools at home. We pledged to provide electricity such that even the president or any governor or anybody at all for that matter, elected on the platform of the National Conscience Party, will not use generator in our homes. These are the kinds of pledges, undertakings that we made. We do not want opposition politicians who would campaign to transform the lives of the people, only to get to office and begin to use public office against public interest. For example, when I was campaigning to be governor of Oyo State in 2003, I campaigned on a program of a governor on a worker's wage. And that is why we advocate that all elected officers in Nigeria, from the president to the lowest person in the world, should not earn more than the minimum wage, national minimum wage. If anybody as president or as governor, as minister or commissioner, or chairman of any local government is not prepared to earn the national minimum wage, let such a person sit down in his or her father's house and not bother to come and occupy public office, to use public office against public interest. These are the kinds of undertakings that Nigerian people should demand from all politicians serving all the opposition, politicians.
Very, very, very important points, and clearly, I think they derive from your own ideological commitment to socialist ideals, which is why I want to ask you this question. So, how do you describe your own venture, and people, such as the venerable Chief Gani Fawehimi, may so rest in peace, SAN. How will you describe your experience in partisan politics? How did it, well, we know how it ended, in terms of the result of the election. But how do you describe your venture? Because I'm not sure that you are still involved in active partisan politics, and I don't know the nature of the National Conscience Party today. If you want to, please educate us on that.
Thanks very much. My conclusion from my experience is that there is no platform for democratic exercise in electing leaders in Nigeria. The elections that we participated in were violent. I will give an example. I was teaching in the Polytechnic Ibadan, even while I contested to be governor. I was teaching there. And my agents were threatened with gun that if they did not sign the rigged election results, they were going to kill them. To save their own lives, my agents had to sign. So what we are going through in Nigeria is not democracy. It will appear that those who occupy, top political offices behave like bandits. Bandits who have no regard, who have no regard for the law.
Yeah, I mean,
they want to be in office by all means.
I like to chip in. Let me chip in, comrade, so that we just get a clear picture of what you have just described. So, who were the people, who compelled your agents to sign what was not the real, were these security agents or agents of the dominating party? Can you give us a little bit more?
It was a combination of the two. The agents of the major political parties that were in power, along with security agents. And in that light, I want to give another example. The late Comrade Ayodele Akele was contesting in Lagos State to go to the House of Reps. And he called Chief Gadibayemi on phone. Chief, police officers are the ones thumbprinting for the parties in power. Chief said, leave them. Don't challenge them. If you challenge them, they will kill you. That is the nature of our so-called democracy. As long as we continue along this line, it is not possible for salvation to come through peaceful means. And those who make peaceful change impossible are indirectly inviting violent change. And we oppose violent change. We plead with the politicians and we plead with the masses. We should not be provoked to any violent reaction. We'll have to continue our mass mobilization peacefully. But a change in the interest of the masses cannot come on the basis of the electoral system and the nature and character of the politicians who are in power. There's a video clip that went viral at a point of the sitting president when he was contesting, encouraging his supporters, snatch it and run away with it. That is the culture. And that culture is anti-people, is anti-democracy, and ought to be condemned. Well, that should not be taken to 2027.
Well, I think, just in the interest of objectivity, I think their campaign since that time have clarified that it didn't mean for people to physically grab it, that it meant that power is not going to be served a la carte and that there has to be some contestation. Just to balance the record, they have clarified that that video didn't mean that they should be violent and steal stuff. But I see your point.
They did not make that clarification when they were campaigning. They are just making the clarification now. That is an afterthought.
Okay.
And the Nigerian people know the politicians for what they truly are.
Yeah, but it's an important point that I think we should also interrogate further, that how should we organize ourselves as a people just so we can have free and fair elections. Comrade, it happened in this country on June 12, 1993. We had free and fair elections, and most people, adjudge the situation to be that. How was that possible? And that tells us that if we organize ourselves properly, we can have free and fair elections in this country, which will not compel a situation where people have to resort to non-peaceful means. In your view, how can we as a people have free and fair? What has to happen, comrade?
Well, we have to encourage and keep encouraging the masses not to lose hope in the electoral process. We have to continue. But there are some constitutional amendments that ought to take place to facilitate that process. Because you made reference to June 12. Don't forget, June 12 took place within the context of military dictatorship. The Nigerian people wanted an end to military dictatorship at all costs. To have that kind of mass mobilization and interest in the electoral process, we need to bring about certain constitutional amendments, particularly as it relates to Section 222 and Section 223 of the Constitution. A combination of the provisions of Section 222 and 223 of the Constitution suggests that only a national party, a party that has national spread, can participate in elections. A party that has offices in not less than 2/3 of the states of the Federation. A party that can have its headquarters office in Abuja. A party whose NEC, National Executive Council, would come from not less than 2/3 of the states of the Federation. It is only people who have looted public funds and people who have the capacity and the means and the mind and unquestionable people who are prepared to kill and maim, who can meet the constitutional requirements. We want a constitutional amendment that will ensure that no matter how small a political party may be, no matter how small the scope of influence of a political party, even if a political party is limited to one ward, even if it is limited to one local government, even if it is limited to just one state of the Federation, such small parties should be allowed to exist and be allowed to contest elections, at least within their own immediate environment. They could ensure sanity. If small parties want to win a whole local government, they could enter into electoral alliances. If they want to win a whole state, they could have electoral alliances with other smaller parties that have pro-people program. If they want to win any national election, then they can form electoral alliances on a national basis. In that way, more people, there will be popular participation in election. And when people are working in that manner, and they drop out in large number, even those who seek to rig will find it difficult to rig. Even those who want to perpetrate and perpetuate violence will find it difficult to so do, because people in large number will have the confidence, they will have the courage to face them and protect their votes. These constitutional amendments are critical if we want to get it right in terms of having governance that will governance in the interest of ordinary people. Today, governance has been hijacked by the ruling class for their own interest against the interests of ordinary people. That is why there is outcry against poverty. The schools have collapsed, no roads, no security, nothing is working.
Okay.
And we only have their wives and agents donating billions all over the place without telling us the factories they own, the goods or services they produce, from where they get the billions that they are donating everywhere. It is unfortunate.
Thank you, Kwame. Let's move along. I have two more questions for you as we're about to round up. You did refer to the issue of insecurity. And I wanted to ask you that, in your own view, what do you think can be done that has not been done to curb the insecurity in the land? I wanted to hear your take on that.
Thanks very much. I think the fundamental cause of insecurity, the root cause of insecurity, is poverty. Unless governments at all levels prioritize the basic needs of people, food, which people will eat, education, housing, access to jobs or unemployment allowance as provided in the Constitution, access to the hospital on a cost-free basis, access to education on a cost-free basis. These are the basic issues that cause people to be so frustrated unless government attends to the issue of pervasive poverty. Insecurity will persist. The second measure is that those who perpetuate violence must be brought to justice. In this country, those who perpetrate violence are never brought to justice. Why are they being covered up? But the fundamental problem is that it is those who are in power, who are manufacturing by their policies, those who perpetrate violence. Therefore, we ought to condemn not just those who carry out violence against our people, we should also condemn governments that are implementing policies that are manufacturing people who have lost hope in their lives, and they are ready to kill and maim and have no regard for the sacredness of the other person's life.
Thank you. Thank you for those very insightful comments. Final question. The president, not too long ago before he went on his working vacation, did say that he could boast about one thing, that he has gotten Nigeria to the point that we will no longer need to borrow money locally, and that he could beat his chest about that we are raising enough revenue, and it's even coming from non-oil sectors. And so that, he said, was a big achievement. And quite a number of people have said, well, okay, Mr. President, applause on that. Comrade Abrishade, what's your reaction?
My reaction is that the president has merely made a statement of fact. Nigeria is rich to take care of the basic needs of the people. Our problem is the contradiction that the wealth of Nigeria that ought to be used for the basic needs of ordinary people are being monopolized by the rulers in buying jets, presidential jets, in medical tourism, and so on, in wastefulness, in corruption. We have more than enough to satisfy the needs of ordinary people. What we do not have enough for is the greed of the rulers. So our problem is the greed of the rulers. And that is why we say, we advocate that government should have a policy in this country in which government projects will be executed by government agencies and departments. Government projects should not be privatized. The Ministry of Works should undertake road construction. Ministry of Housing should provide housing rather than giving it to private companies. They have abdicated their responsibility to the private sector. The private sector person is interested in making profits, not in providing public good. So Mr. President has stated the truth. Nigeria is rich enough to take care of the basic needs of ordinary people. But the politicians have dispossessed the masses of the patrimony that belongs to the people. We need to take back our country. We need to insist the wealth of Nigeria must be used to serve the basic needs of the people rather than serving the greed of the politicians.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Aburichade, for your very strong and forthright and I dare say patriotic views. And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. And there you have it. We're going to return with another segment where we'll be speaking with the former Nigerian ambassador to tell us a bit more about some of the things that has happened this week, including the image of our president meeting with the president of France for a private dinner. Inside Sources will be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. This is our concluding segment today, and I have with me a notable Nigerian diplomat, somebody who has been in the foreign service for 44 years and has gone to 5 continents representing Nigeria. He retired as Nigeria's ambassador to the Republic of Benin. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources here in the studio for the first time, Ambassador Dr. Lawrence Olufemi Obishaki.
Thank you so
Excellency,
much.
You are welcome to Inside Sources.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Lalu.
Right.
I must to say that we really appreciate what you are doing.
Thank you so much.
Very informative, analytical, and exciting too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, well, it's our day job.
We are doing it pretty well.
Thank you, sir. Let's start from the president's trip. You know, the president had gone to Brazil, you know, a couple weeks back, and then went to Japan. You know, signed quite a few significant MOUs. And of course, now he's on vacation, and we saw him a few days ago having dinner, was it lunch with the president of France, President Macron. You know, so I wanted to ask you, as somebody who is very vast in this diplomacy, that what is the use of the president's trips all over the world in these major countries, especially if there are no ambassadors on the ground? Now, I concede very easily that, yeah, I mean, when you have the president go out, he's able to meet the president in other places, and he can get a lot of things done. But I'm worried that the president is making all these efforts without ambassadors on the ground who will take the matters forward. Excellency, what's your take?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me again. You know, diplomacy or international relations is multidimensional. There are so many aspects to it, and there are so many actors. Even though the former international relations recognizes the state as a major actor, yet there are non-state actors, positive and negative, the NGOs now, international organization, the United Nations, where you were, where we were both for years. You know, they are there. But why should a president go out? Number one, the number one diplomat of a country is the president. The President Obasanjo did not hesitate to tell us that he was his own foreign minister. And all of them. And true, he was saying the truth. And President Tinubu also knows very well that he is the number one image maker of the country. And there's no doubt that he can do a lot. However, you need the principal representative, your major minister. You know, there are people have said many things about it. Another thing is that it's not every time that the president can have access to the people that needs to know, that needs to learn about Nigeria. The number one public relations officer of Nigeria abroad is the principal envoy. It's not only because of the glamour, you know, to whom this may concern, greetings, whereas I've looked for somebody and I found in the person of Lawrence Olufemi Obishakin, who have considered to be my ambassador to represent. It says that whatever the ambassador says.
That is the wording of the...
That's the wording, yes. That he has found somebody. It's a great thing to be an ambassador of Nigeria. I'm forever grateful. Out of millions, we are not up to 200, you know, as of today. Maybe about 120, 130 alive. And what? Now, you see, he needs the ambassador. There's no doubt about it. Otherwise, there won't be reason for it. And you know, since the Westphalia Treaty, which to many people gave back to diplomacy, which is the art of using human agents to represent a country in another country, whereby he does 5 things. One, he represents the country as a figure. When I was ambassador of Nigeria, you know, even at the UN, you know, you put on the Nigerian regalia anywhere, even in winter, you are the face of your country. Number 2, you go to negotiate for your country. I will forever be grateful to be able to negotiate for Dangote to be able to cross the border. Otherwise, cement of Nigeria would not have crossed. If we didn't do in 2013, took us 6 months, we did everything. And Dangote, for we is grateful and everybody is grateful. So we negotiate.
The cement came through
Benin. Yes.
Through their ports.
Benin is the gateway. So you cannot minimize the importance of neighbor. You can choose your partners. I always say, trading partners.
So was that for the refinery or for the cement?
The cement, to be able to cross.
I see.
He had been trying since 2007.
So where was the cement coming from?
From Nigeria.
Oh, okay, for the cement to go out.
To go out.
Oh, I see. And
you know, if you don't pass through Benin, you can't go to Ghana.
I see,
economically. Togo,
I see
like
the
that.
point. Right.
So, you see, so they are there to negotiate, they are there to represent, to promote our culture. That's what the diplomats, according to, you know, the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961, which is the Bible, the Quran of diplomacy. So the ambassadors will do all of these 5 things, you know. They negotiate, they resolve problem, consular. Number one, of course, pillar of our international relation or foreign policy is the national interest. And number one of our national interest is our people.
In those places.
Yes. President Tinubu can go everywhere, but how many can he meet? He's trying, he goes, you know, the diaspora people meet, but it's the ambassador that is there. Let me tell you, as ambassador of Nigeria, they wake you at 2 a.m. and tell you Boko Haram is crossing this place. You wake up.
Wow.
You must rise to the occasion. That's where you are. It's not just drinking, taking caveat and everything. No, you are to perform. So, but then the principle that maybe if Nigeria is this poor, can't we, you know, have ambassadors in some strategic places, regional?
Well, how do you respond, Excellency? How do you respond to the argument that, oh, well, look, we have child affairs, you know, they are holding the fort, they are well trained. You know, what was the proper response to that? Well,
for you know, my professor of sociology in the US, when I was doing my PhD, told me whatever is sociological must have at least 2 solutions. Minimum. That's why we have 2 eyes. The left eye looks, if it's not sure, you look at the right. But if 2 of them sit together, better. You see, the ambassador is the principal and accredited agent that can relate directly with the president, you know,
of the
other country. Yes. as ambassador, you call the president. When things were very hard for Nigeria in 2013, they were arresting them. They come out of church, out of mosque. They say Nigerian vehicle, you come and pay. You have to pay 2020. So I called the president. I'd like to see you.
You called the president directly?
Of course. Now, am I not accredited to him?
As the personal representative of the
Yes, and Nigeria is a big country, my friend.
So. He charged affairs.
They won't let him. He won't even see the minister most of the time. He will only be seeing the head of department. Yes, it will end at departmental level. But there are some countries that even ambassador, how many times did they see the president? But in Africa, for example, I cannot count the number of times we negotiated. The president of my country of accreditation was the first president in the world to come and spend his holiday in Nigeria. These 50 or 60 years. Went to Obudu because we sold the idea to him.
That's the president of Benin.
Yes, that's President Boni Yayi. And when Buhari was not going to come, I know what it is. I've been hearing people, look, and 2015, we wrote, President Buhari, you have to come. This is your neighbor. And so he was there. And look at the honor they gave him, made him to ride on the same jeep where the president was going to inspect the guards of honor. That's also the first. President, go and check, President Buhari, 2015, August 1st, was riding in the same jeep with President Boni Yayi. He gave him that honor of being the closest country, a country that has 6 ethnic groups together. We have about how many? About 687 kilometers of shared border, inhabited border, except in your part.
Exactly. So I remember that you used to give us an example of a house on the border between Nigeria and Benin, where the living room is Nigeria, and then the kitchen.
The bedroom is in Benin Republic.
But let's go back to what you had said that, okay, let's even say that we are dealing with financial challenges, the money, the budget is too much. You are trying to say that we should identify a particular place and put...
United Nations. You know it very well. September, presidents will meet. So we will have no principal representatives. What about in places like Brussels, France, South Africa? Won't you have even our neighboring countries? For all this is happening. It's international relations. It's like human between interpersonal relationship. Some people, the chemistry works. And then out of sight, out of mind, people are beginning to say, look, Nigeria says you are the giant of Africa. You can't even afford to have ambassadors in country. It is not good. People have said it. I've decided I won't speak about it again because it's obviously it is obvious that this is terrible.
It's terrible. It's actually a big challenge because I was speaking with one of your colleagues, Ambassador Lukoni, and I asked him that based on his own experience, have we ever had a situation where we don't have ambassador for this long, because it's going to be 2 years in October that they were recalled. Do you recall any time in your own experience?
I've been observing it since I joined 1981, which is 44 years. I've been keeping, I did my 35 years, and I continue to be active. I've never seen it. 2 solid years, no ambassador. It must have been really challenging for President Tinubu, but I want to advise seriously that whatever happens, we could select some areas. It can be done. Let us be represented at regional levels. Regional levels, minimum. What about China? What happens? Addis Ababa, New York, the seat of African Union. New York, Brussels, Paris, Benin Republic,
a lot of things are going
Senegal, Kenya, which is also another major United Nations center, hub. So we must be, and not only that, you see, international relations is also our telescope. We know what is happening. An ambassador writes dispatch, and it's different when an ambassador writes. He knows what's at stake. I'm not saying that our colleagues, some of them are ambassador rank, we must not forget this. But the thing is that they need that the scope. They need that recognition. That recognition, they need it. And it's very important.
Okay, let me ask you as we transit, so there has been concern, for a while, and I think this started especially during President Buhari's administration, which I served, by the way, that that our presidents go abroad for medical treatment, you know, and even go abroad for vacation, you know. And then in the particular case of President Tinubu, we do respect. He spent a lot of time already in France. A lot of time.
Well, not as much as his predecessor.
Okay, in France?
In abroad.
Abroad, yeah.
He chose France.
Yeah, he chose France, yeah.
Our late president, Père à son âme, as well in French, we may so rest in peace. I think he stayed at a time that it was almost causing controversies.
Oh, of course.
It's an indictment on our medical, on our health delivery system. It's terrible. It's not good, and I think we can do it. You know, we need to emphasize what is important. As I was saying, that look, international relations is like interpersonal relations. If you don't take care of your heart, of your major organs, you may be having problems. And with time, Nigeria is no longer a teenager. At least this entity has been for years before the pre-colonial. We're going to be 65. Let's say in the life of a nation, but at least we have transited the level of being teenager. We are adults now. Yeah. And there's a level.
Even getting close to senior citizens.
Senior citizens. And you know, I like Yoruba proverbs and other proverbs. Say, look, if you tell a child, please don't poo there. And you warn him twice. If he does it the same time, you look for what they call fire leave to clean him up. You will find it.
Very interesting.
But
let's look at it, you know, I want us to take a peculiar high. Okay. Now, is there any kind of benefit that Nigeria can get from France, considering that, you know, our president has taken a very particular interest in that country? Is there any way this regular meeting can mean something? Or, you know, would you say that this is also happening in the context of when you have countries like Niger and Burkina Faso, you know, trying to pull away from France? How do you interpret that? You know? Really? Do we have any cultural advantage?
It's a delicate issue.
It is,
but, you know, I think there is personal aspect. President, you know, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a human being, and he has his preference. So he may have friends. From what we pick up, he has a personal relationship. We can't run that out. We can't rule that out, and it can be used. You use everything to benefit your country. That's it. But there's no doubt that
that's what I'm exploring.
The president also has to be like any other agent. He's the principal agent. He has to be careful. You know, I remember when apartheid, when we were still fighting apartheid. Yes. You know, you are trained. If you are at a meeting and you find out that the apartheid diplomat is your neighbor, you develop what they call diplomatic code. And you leave the scene. Yes. You cough 2 times and you say, oh, I'm sorry, I have to leave. And then you leave. But you know, we must be careful if our neighbors are having challenges with France. Then we must be conscious of it. At the same time, we are elders. Nigeria is the eldest country around. We are the hegemon of this region. We must be able to resolve this problem ourselves. And there are other ways. I'm sure the presidents of Niger, of Burkina Faso, they have classmates, they have course-mates. Some of us schooled with them in our universities. You know, we have them. So we can talk to them informally, which is often more effective.
Some of the military officers actually also trained in Nigerian.
Like when I was ambassador in Benin, the chief of naval staff was a member of our course here. And that gave us advantage. Yes, the defense college. There's no doubt. But I think President Tinubu is being advised. He knows. He's not, even though this is his first time of going to diplomacy, formal diplomacy. He was a governor. But you know, Minister of Foreign Affairs, like the armed forces or the police, these are the only ministries that don't have state counterpart. So people say Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's wrong. There's only one. So he was not in it, but now he's there. And it's 2 years now. So he has a second foot. The second foot is on the ground now. So he knows how it's been done. You know, it's a very dangerous, slippery, you know, field. But he knows now what it is. He has to be very careful with it. You know, you can decide. You know, there's that saying that my friends, my enemies' friends, they are my enemies. And my enemies' enemies are my friends. You know?
Interesting. Do you subscribe to the argument? Again, people have said that, look, what has happened in ECOWAS, You know, we've lost two member, member nations. Some people have held President Tinubu responsible for that. Is there a fair charge?
No, I don't think it's fair to hold one person. They are not just living. You know, things don't just explode. They've been coming on long ago. Those fellows, those countries, let me be very diplomatic, have had challenges with France, which you know has to do with money.
Yeah.
And so they had to. So their people are aware. International law allows a nation to choose its friends and who he will refuse to be friends with, not enemies. You know. So that is the truth. But the challenge is that I wouldn't have loved it to have been handled the way it was handled. As I said, you don't treat, when you have neighbor, the relationship between neighbors, neighboring countries, is like that of marriage. You don't treat your wife or your spouse the way you will say you will deal with other people. No, because you are coming back home. You know, that is your home.
Yeah.
These people will remain our neighbors for life. Niger has about 1,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Of a frontier with us.
And even those
about
lines,
780.
Those lines are artificial
Cameroon,
lines.
yes, they speak the same language. Like that. Look, Hausa is a majority language in Niger, and it has been even declared the official language now. 54% of them are Hausa. We have about 10% that are also Tuaregs, whom we have in Nigeria. The Shu Arabs across the Fulani are there. Just like Benin Republic, the Bariba, the Yoruba, the Hausa, they are there. So we must be very conscious of this. You have interpersonal relations, age-long too, and they are stronger. As I said, they are stronger. You know.
My view is that, you know, that a Nigerian government ought to be very firm on the question of democracy, which was how those three countries are to live, you know. So I personally think that, you know, even it's in the defense of democracy, yes, I mean, the attitude of the president is right.
But I've seen... What is democracy?
Well, you know,
let's use the ancient American government, the people are the people, for the people.
Yeah.
So were the government there working for the people? No, let's try to play the devil's advocate. You have a country whose 80% of GDP goes to another country. So will you allow that?
Well,
in the name of democracy. Well, don't you think it could have been better if we had gone to them? If all our agencies have been doing their work, they have known this was going to happen, I said, look, we know what we want. President Bazoum, who was ousted, let us do this way, this way, this way. I'm sure things will have been the other way around. We have to be, you know, we must be proactive.
Which is the whole point about diplomacy.
Yeah.
You know.
So our foreign policy is very clear.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Ambassador Obishakin, for your continuous service, you know, and for what you did when we were actually in active foreign service.
Thank you.
You know, and your work even to the community as an author.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that you are just you are coming out with a new book.
Yes, with a new book on protocol. Yes, it's called a handbook, a church protocol handbook. Etiquettes for leaders.
Exactly.
So, you know, I had one which has become a bestseller.
I know.
The protocol.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you so much for those contributions to the community, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you, Lalu. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. You are doing a great job.
Thank you.
This is journalism at its peak.
Thank you so much.
You are a pride to us, and the whole world, I'm sure, they're enjoying it.
Thank you so much.
Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means that Nigeria will win because we won't give up. My name is Laolu Akonde. Thank you for watching, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.